Part 21. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 201. Chi Chang'ai grabbed Guyao's hand and said, "Just follow your own feelings." Guyao nodded and flew low in the direction he sensed. At this time, Su Chen's voice sounded in both his and Chi Chang'ai's minds. Su Chen said that he didn't expect to come back here after going around in a circle. Chi Chang'ai, you said, was it a coincidence that we would open the space crack leading to here? Chi Chang'ai was stunned. How do you say? Su Chen said, maybe the space barriers here are relatively weak, and it has something to do with this place. I came here first, and maybe I have to leave Tianlin continent through here in the end. Chi Chang'ai also has a subtle feeling, it's possible, but since I left, I won't be able to return to my original place for the time being. Don't forget the Changxianmen token brought by Xiao's uncle. It is impossible for Changxianmen to not trace the source of the token, but Guyao and his uncle were not traced, which means that Changxianmen does not know the details of Guyao's family. Su Chen regretted, you are right, it seems that we still have to take it step by step. Instead, he wanted to return to his original place as soon as possible in Chi Chang'ai. The cultivation environment there is obviously much better. The place where Changxianmen is located may not be comparable, but it seems unrealistic. On the way, Guyao and the others were good. They went out and saw a lot of good things over the years, especially in the secret realm of Kankan. But for Boss Dong and Ding Dali, the spirit grass and spirit fruit trees they saw on the way were called to them. Shocked, I can't wait to stop and dig up all those things and pack them away. Guyao noticed that some spiritual grasses are not common, most of them exist in secret realms, and the most strange thing is that after coming here, he did not sense the breath of other creatures, but the growth of those strange flowers and trees below. It is not messy, although there is a plan to ban the formation, it is still surprising. The black cat who was squatting on Guyao's shoulder suddenly meowed and went out, so fast that Guyao couldn't stop it. Forget it, he didn't notice any danger here, and this cat's supernatural ability was not small, it shouldn't be. There will be big problems. From the outside to the inside, the spiritual energy became more and more intense. A purple bamboo forest appeared in front of it, and there was a small bamboo building in the middle of the purple bamboo forest. The wind was blowing, and the bamboo leaves made a squeaking sound. The group landed in front of the bamboo forest, and the crystal snake jumped out, but was bounced back by an invisible restraint. Xiao, go and have a look. Chi Chang'ai looked at Guyao and said. Guyao nodded, then walked towards the bamboo forest, and the restraint of bouncing the crystal snake back seemed to be non-existent to Guyao. He walked in easily. Let's see if they can get in, and when they get close, they realize that an invisible barrier is blocking them out. Chi Chang'ai looked at the purple bamboo forest and said, don't try, the entire bamboo forest and the bamboo building in the middle are a complete formation, and only those who are allowed by the formation can step in, otherwise it will cause the entire formation to backlash. Just wait outside. Okay, the spiritual conditions here are good, and it's good to practice here. Little Fatty is very happy with the environment here, maybe it's deep underground. In addition to the rich wood energy, there is also the soil that makes him happy. Power. At this moment, a meowing sound came from behind. Chi Chang'ai just looked over, and saw a green light flickered and disappeared into the bamboo forest, and the cat cub passed in front of their eyes and plunged into it. The cat has the breath of Guyao, so Zizolin can't block it. What was that green light just now? Is it that the cub was attracted to it? That thing won't be harmful to Guyao, right? Tian Firong said in shock, and there is something that makes the cat helpless. I was amused and worried at the same time. Guyao in the bamboo forest also saw the flashing green light, and even after the green light entered the bamboo forest, there was still a momentary stagnation, and then quickly drilled into the ground. Even before he wanted to catch it, the cat ran over. After finding that the thing was gone, he jumped on Guyao's shoulder angrily and stepped on it, and then complained to Guyao. "You said it was a green creature," Guyao asked Su Chen after he understood what the cat said. "Senior, what was that just now?" Su Chen also noticed it, and after thinking about it, "Only one thing fits," he said, "don't you think that someone here is taking care of it, so that it will grow in such a neat and orderly manner?" Guyao said in surprise, "That means my feeling is not wrong? That thing." He also wanted to read the archives records. Could it be the wood spirit? Su Chen nodded and said, "I guess it's the same. It's better to subdue this wood spirit later. Your space just needs someone to take care of it." Su Chen is not happy to be called by Guyao, although there are times when Guyao asks the senior to help him, but Su Chen realizes that he can't go on like this after he is done, otherwise he will become a messenger for Guyao. He is a dignified alchemist, reduced to planting spirit grass for Guyao. "Awang." Guyao reassured the cat and said, "Wait and see the situation. I will go to the bamboo building." He eagerly wanted to know what message the first uncle left, and where he is now. Although it just passed by in a flash, the breath he sensed was very pure and did not release any malice. In front of the bamboo building, Guyao stretched out his hand and touched it lightly, and the door opened automatically. The entire bamboo building was built by the old purple bamboo. The breath it exudes can soothe people's spirits, and it can also filter impurities and purify the spiritual energy. The purple bamboo of such a year can be directly turned into a wood-based magic weapon. As soon as the door opened, Guyao was attracted by a painting hanging on the inner wall. At the same time, Cat Zi and Su Chen also looked over curiously. The painting was of a handsome and elegant man. From their perspective, the man was looking at Guyao softly. The kitty looked at the man in the painting, looked back at the owner, and meowed. Su Chen asked curiously, "This is your uncle? It's a bit like you, but you're not as graceful as your uncle. Are you a little tender?" One cat and one soul were synchronized at this moment, and Guyao couldn't help laughing and crying. The first time he saw his uncle's image, he thought it was incredible, but the uncle's appearance he heard from other people didn't seem to be outstanding, so he guessed shouldn't show his true face. The eyes of the person in the painting made Guyao not take the slightest precaution, so he stepped in and walked straight towards the painting. As soon as he came across the painting, an aura shot into Guyao's sea of consciousness from the painting, but Guyao did not resist. His eyes were closed, and he didn't see the cat jumping up to take a picture, because the person in the picture disappeared, making the cat meow in anger. Although Su Chen was in the ancient sea of consciousness, no, it should be said that in the space of the sea of consciousness, he could not know what happened in the sea of consciousness, but he saw the situation outside, and knew that the figure in the painting was just reserved for a spiritual sense. Guyao once again saw the image of his uncle in his sea of consciousness. The man's eyes were gentle and he said, "Yaoi is finally here. Uncle is very happy, which shows that Yaoi has grown up very quickly. Yaoi has always wanted to know where my uncle is. If Yaoi can find this place, he must have a sufficient understanding of this continent, and also know where our bloodlines come from." How beautiful was the Tianling family back then, but it was at its peak. After that, it fell apart. The pure celestial clan no longer existed. Yaoi and uncle are both human beings with celestial clan blood in their bodies. This is where the ancestors of our lineage stayed after the great change of heaven and earth. There is also a teleportation formation here to leave. When Yaoi decides when to leave Tianling continent, he will come here to activate the teleportation formation. The video directly conveyed the location and activation method of the teleportation array to Guyao. After reading it, Guyao was amazed. This teleportation array was much smarter than the one in Shifang City. If Yaoi doesn't have enough cultivation, you can stay here to cultivate for a while. When Yaoi comes, you should know that the environment here is much better than outside. After my uncle left Yuanyang town, he was here to recover from his injuries. He left through the teleportation array, so Yaoi doesn't have to worry about uncle. It's still the same sentence. Uncle was waiting for the day when Yaoi and uncle met, but unfortunately I couldn't watch Yaoi grow up. In the end, he sighed because of regret, the image collapsed, and the spiritual thoughts dissipated. Guyao also had a lot of things in his mind. Finally, he opened his eyes in despair and looked at the blank painting. If it is said that when he first received his uncle's spiritual thoughts, he felt strangeness in most of his heart, and there was still a bit of guard, but this time he felt more cordial. I don't know if it was because of the awakening of the blood in his body that made him feel, uncle is his only relative left in this world. Is there a teleportation formation here? Su Chen asked curiously when he saw that the spiritual sense dissipated, and it was also related to whether he could leave with him. Guyao replied as he walked out, there is a teleportation formation here, we can leave at any time, but I still want to stay here to practice for a while. My uncle also said the same, my cultivation is too weak. Otherwise, even if he leaves here, he will be a hindrance to brother Ye and uncle. Su Chen can only shrug his shoulders, he is too weak, he ran out to be cannon fodder at this time. Who made this kid with a special identity and a great treasure, and it is easy to be targeted, here because there is this guy Chi Changjai blocking him. In the front, Chi Changjai is weaker, how can Guyao stay safe and sound? Seeing Guyao appearing at the entrance of the bamboo building again, Chi Changjai had a smile in his eyes. He kept staring at the movement in the bamboo building. If there was any situation, he would try his best to break the formation and break in. Guyao pinched a few spiritual tricks, and then said, you can come in now. Chi Changjai walked forward calmly, Tian Furong and Little Fatty quickly got up and followed, while Boss Dong and Ding Dolly seemed a little cautious. Nothing in the purple bamboo forest was a good thing. The one that was targeted by the crystal snake before was an amethyst plant. Bamboo shoots, just by looking at the appearance, you can know that the aura is a good thing. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 202. Knowing that Guyao's uncle had left him an important message, Tian Furong and the others were all happy for Guyao. Guyao said that he wanted to stay here for a period of time to cultivate Ingguan, and they also supported him. A sense of urgency, and the environment here is just right for retreat. Tian Furong also needs time to adapt to the spiritual power that has grown in the body, and the need for spiritual energy is minimized. The opinions of Boss Dong and Ding Dolly are not so important, and they wished to stay here. Guyao didn't drive them out, but gave them a circle. Some spiritual materials did not let them touch their hands, and those things were taken out. Will only make people look at it, and then may expose this place. Boss Dong and Ding Dolly were mad in their hearts, and they came out right this time. They didn't think Guyao's request was too much. Instead, they were just as happy as a mouse that fell into a rice jar. So Boss Dong and the two stayed outside the Zizu forest, and the four Guyao lived in the bamboo building, where there are still traces of Uncle Guyao's life, as well as a few items left by Uncle Guyao, a map with a few talismans. Tian Furong and Little Fatty had already gone to retreat. Guyao and Chi Changjai stood in front of the bamboo table and looked at the map. The area displayed on the map was several times larger than that of Tianlin continent, and a sphere of influence was marked to let them know. Knowing where the terrain is, it is the continent where Changxianmen at the other end of the teleportation array is located. Obviously, Changxianmen is just a sect force on the opposite continent. What position it occupies among the various sects, maybe it will only be understood when they go there, but one thing is clear, that is, it is not a sect of Changxianmen. Dominance, and the people in the Tianlin continent only know that there is Changxianmen on the opposite side and don't know anything else. Brother Ye, do you say that the monks from other sects know the existence of our Tianlin continent? Guyao wondered. Chi Changjai shook his head, maybe I know, maybe I don't know, but the latter is unlikely. After finishing the competition, it's not too short. It's hard to believe that the secret can be kept for such a long time. Competitive sect forces, each other will plant nails in each other, how many things are not known to each other. The two memorized this map, and then collected it by Guyao. Compared with the others, except for the teleportation array, the two felt that this map was the most important. With the map, the two felt a little more confident. Several of the talismans were of the highest quality, and Chi Changjai also made Guyao put them away. It seems that Uncle Xiaoao's talent in making talismans is extraordinary. Just like Xiaoao, you are in alchemy, except for the thunder system. Spirit talisman, I'm not as many as Uncle Xiaoao. At first, he made the magic talisman based on the soul control power of his original Jindan strength. Now that he is asked to make a 7th grade magic talisman, the quality of the magic talisman has dropped a lot, and if he did not gain anything in the Kankan secret realm, he would like to make a 7th grade magic talisman. The talisman is still a hassle, and he is not yet capable of deducing the 7th talisman by himself. Big brother yet is a sword cultivator, and comparing the level of talisman making with Master Fu is putting the cart before the horse, Guyao corrected. Chi Changjai smiled and reached out to rub the top of Guyao's hair. There is also a special pill room here. There are several jade bottles scattered on a table. The pills in the jade bottles can still be identified by the original owner, but they are all low-grade and middle-grade pills. It can be seen that Uncle Guyao can also make alchemy, but the alchemy technique is inferior to the talisman technique, but for most monks, it is versatile. After figuring out the situation here, Guyao began to retreat and practice, and handed over the outside to Chi Changjai. As for the wood spirit that the cat cub never forgets, the two did not deliberately look for it. After a long time, it is estimated that it will first he couldn't hold back and ran out, because when Guyao was walking in the purple bamboo forest, he noticed a curious look several times. This is a curious little thing. After a wave of searching for the whereabouts of Guyao, Chi Changye started on the Tianlin continent. Although there were occasional voices, it was proved to be unwarranted in the end. Like a trace. President, has there been no contact with the ancient alchemist? The cultivator who took out the body training method came over and asked Hu Ting with a smile. This is the reward that the ancient alchemist himself put up. If the amulet does not meet the requirements, the ancient alchemist has to be in my own assessment. If Gu alchemist does not come out, there is nothing we can do. Maybe Gu alchemist is in retreat somewhere. Hu Ting, who has been waiting for him to meet his uncle, has recently been asked about Guyao's whereabouts by many people, but he is indeed I don't know. There are even people who speculate that he is looking for another way to leave the Tianlin continent with Chi Changjai. People are no longer on the mainland. Hu Ting heard it funny, he still knows how many people are still on the mainland, and they are all live well. The president said that apart from the ancient alchemist who is interested in this exercise, which other alchemists would like to take a look at, the alchemist who came to ask was also funny. Most alchemists have limited talents and it takes a long time in the alchemy technique. Body refining is also time consuming and energy consuming, so why is an alchemist willing to waste time and energy on this? Hu Ting's thoughts are different. He has experienced the golden core heavenly tribulation. If it wasn't for the help of the formation in the secret place of Tianfu College, with his strength and physical strength, the heavenly tribulation would be very dangerous. Heavenly tribulation will know, the better the cultivator of talent, the more powerful the thunder tribulation will be. Others think that the ancient alchemist is unpredictable, but in his opinion, Guyao is only looking at the long term, so he will work body refining. Instead of just pursuing the lifespan of hundreds of years in front of you. A year has passed in a blink of an eye. Boss Dong and Ding Dali were sitting by a small stream, holding the spiritual fruit in their hands. A year ago, if they saw such a spiritual fruit outside, it would be very precious. If you hide it, why would you want to nibble on it so casually? If you nibble too much, you will feel unpleasant. Sometimes the fish caught from the creek will be squeezed and coated with the juice of the spirit fruit, which will make you and Yangtown suffer. Those guys who saw it, would definitely scold them for being wasteful. Ding Dolly rejoiced, "Boss, when do you think we can build a foundation? In fact, being able to cultivate to the 6th or 7th level of chi refining in an environment like you and Yangtown is not too bad. So now in such a cave, the cultivation of the two of them this year is a gift." Going up, the two of them experienced a bitter taste of happiness. Boss Dong thought deeply, in our situation, we need to prepare 2 more foundation establishment pills. After all, the foundation of Jing is not strong, and it has been delayed for so many years. It can't be compared with Tian Ershao and the others. It is much more difficult to build a foundation. Even if the chi refining is completed, it will not work. Ding Dolly thought it simply, "I didn't dare to think about it before, but now I have this opportunity, of course I have to try it. Even if I can't build a foundation in the end, my old Ding will be satisfied for the rest of my life, and I will return to Yuan Yang Town, except for those few an old guy, and of course the boss. I Ding Dolly can be regarded as a master. Boss Dong is more greedy than Ding. If he can't build a foundation at this stage, it will make him more desperate. He knows that Gu Yao and the others have no shortage of foundation building pills, but he also knows that they can stay here to cultivate, and they are not prohibited. Touching the things here is quite generous to them, so if you want to build a foundation, you have to find another way. Seeing a flash of silver light at the end of the stream, Boss Dong jumped up and said, "Quick, get ready, those silver-scaled fish are here." "Are you here? Great, it's worth our stay for a few days. This creek is connected to the underground river. Every once in a while, a small silver fish with short fingers swims out. Because it is too small, at first neither of them took it seriously, but Chi Changjai accidentally discovered it. After one visit, I took a net and brought it back to boil the soup, not to mention that it was a good thing just by smelling the fragrance, but they ignored it because they thought it was too small." The two waited for the opportunity to catch the silver scale fish that had swum out this time, and brought the silver scale fish in the barrel to the outside of the Zizu forest. "Far away, rejoice." Gu Yao made a gesture, and the two walked into the bamboo forest. The spiritual energy in the bamboo forest was stronger and purer than outside. "Master Gu, this is the silver scale fish we caught and gave it to Master Gu." Boss Dong handed over the barrel. Gu Yao once ate the fish soup made from this fish. It was so delicious that he would never forget it after eating it once. The key point is that the silver scale fish has some special effects. It is a kind of medicinal fish, so I am very happy to see this fish. He stretched out his hand to take it. "I've got you to work. I think you're about to build foundations. There are just a few foundation building pills on your body. Anyway, it's useless to keep them, so I'll give them to you." Boss Dong and Ding Dolly were almost grateful, and quickly took the jade bottle with both hands. "Thank you, Master Gu, thank you Master Gu." Gu Yao waved his hand, and when he returned to the bamboo building, the two of them also exited the Zizu building with great discernment and ran back to their temporary residence. Chi Changjai naturally saw the situation outside, and smiled helplessly at Gu Yao who came in. "The more you nurture their appetite, the bigger it is." Gu Yao smiled and said, "This is also a fate. The animal skins and iron pieces are obtained from their hands, leaving them to help them build their foundation is a kind of reward. They are not like the other 3 families, they are nothing. The foundation, with them there, ordinary monks in Yuan Yang Town can also have a shelter. It's not good for a single show, it's better for more powers to compete with each other." Although Boss Dong's actions had his own selfishness, he and Chi Changjai did benefit from it. Compared with other people, Boss Dong still has a bit of sense in his hands. Chi Changjai didn't say anything, took the fish to deal with, and finally boiled these silver scale fish into a pot of fish soup. The fish soup was snow white, and almost all the fish melted in the soup. Tian Firong and the little fat man were tempted by the fragrance from the room. Come out and share the fish soup together. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 203. After a year of retreat and cultivation in the underground space, Guyao and Little Fatty's cultivation base has reached the completion of foundation building. Just waiting for the opportunity to knock down the barrier in front of the golden core, they will be able to successfully form the core. There is not much gain in meditating and practicing, so Guyao left the customs and planned to clean up and leave here, so he gave the foundation building Dan to Boss Dong and the others. In the past year, the performance of these two people fell in their eyes. Their cultivation level has risen so fast this year. In addition to the good things they got before, they are inseparable from this underground space. Other than that, there are a lot of treasures in this purple bamboo forest. It takes thousands of years to gather the essence of the purple bamboo forest to breed such a plant, as well as amethyst spirit dew, purple bamboo rice, all of which are rare treasures of heaven and earth. Guyao did not destroy the formation of the purple bamboo forest, and continued to keep it here, and with this underground space, he could continue to guard the teleportation formation below. But before he left, Guyao still wanted to meet the little guy who had been playing hide and seek with him and the cat cub. He stood in the purple bamboo forest and said funnily, "Come out, little guy, if we don't come out, we have to go, no one will accompany him." "You're playing." The cat cub stood on Guyao's shoulder, grinning. This is the territory of the creature, so even if it has the ability, there is no way to catch it. The most important thing is that the owner didn't really help it at all, and let the guy be arrogant. As soon as Guyao finished speaking, a green light flashed and landed on a purple bamboo. The cat wanted to pounce on it, but Guyao grabbed it, and then saw two bamboo leaves sticking out from behind a section of the purple bamboo. They were purple. And then revealed two small eyes, still purple, blinking in the direction of Guyao. Guyao smiled. This wood spirit is very special, it has no fixed shape, it can make itself into the shape of various spiritual plants that he has seen, so cat cubs often fail to catch its traces. It is difficult to imagine this wood spirit. How was it born? Su Chen was also amazed when he saw it. "You kid is very lucky. At first I thought that this wood spirit was created by which treasure of heaven and earth opened up spiritual wisdom, but I didn't expect it to be bred from the spirit of wood. Maybe it's here in ancient times, it was the place where the wood spirits lived, and if this little thing fell into the hands of some greedy monk, it could completely create a physique of a wood spirit." Guyao also knew the real situation of this little guy under Su Chen's explanation. At first, he only thought it was a treasure of heaven and earth. Guyao didn't have the idea of depriving it of his intelligence, he just found a little helper, stretched out his hand and said, "Come with me, be a little housekeeper for me, you will like your new home, and the environment here is beautiful. Blocks are no longer suitable for your growth." The loss of vitality on the ground may not only be related to the formation, but also to this little guy. "Little brother, you are like a liar, but you have the smell of big brother, let me go with you." A thin and tender voice came into Guyao's mind. At first, the corner of his mouth twitched. Too much straightforwardness is not a good sign. This means that the eldest brother is his uncle, right? This generation is messed up. Keep smiling, then you want to come with me? If we don't go, we will leave. I don't know when we will come back. The little guy dawdled for a while. Just when Guyao was thinking about whether to hang the little guy again, it finally jumped into Guyao's palm. Guyao looked at the little guy in surprise, because it is now completely. It was a small uncle, still green, and with two purple bamboo leaves on his head. The corners of his eyes twitched, and he almost burst out laughing. That horizontal shape can be said to be in the form of a fairy, but it can be placed on this trumpet villain, making people want to pinch it a few times, but they don't know what the scene will be when they meet with the trumpet uncle. Guyao held it back outside. Su Chen laughed out loud in the space, and rolled over with laughter. Maybe my uncle was the first to discover the existence of the little guy, and the little guy turned into this appearance. Guyao endured it and sent it into the space after obtaining its consent, and did not make any contract with it. If in the future, it would prefer to stay with its uncle, and Guyao will let it go. So, another member was added to Guyao's space. The member's name was Purple Baby, which was the name that Guyao's uncle named for it, and he was very happy. Guyao said in his heart that it was indeed a baby. Bao fell in love as soon as he entered the space, and quickly helped Guyao sort out his messy spiritual field. Su Chen was also very happy. He finally had a neighbor, and he often took pleasure in teasing Bao. In Guyao's eyes, these two are not grown-up guys, and the senior Su Chen is not so mature and stable. After leaving the underground space, there is no need for the special animal skin. Boss Dong and Ding Dali also returned to the ground. They were very emotional. Before they came out, they had sworn in front of Guyao and several others that they would not leak the slightest information, otherwise not only the cultivation base is nowhere near, and the demons will explode, and the meridians will be cut off and die. In fact, the two of them also knew that even if they built the foundation, they would not be able to enter the underground space. After many years, they did look for the two broken skins, but they could not find their whereabouts again. Putting down Boss Dong and Ding Dali, the four of Guyao took the flying instrument and left. "Boss, what should we do?" "Let's go back to Yuanyang town now," Ding Dali asked. It's been a long time since they left Yuanyang town. If they didn't return for so long, would those people think they were bitten by monsters? Boss Dong said cautiously, "We will not go back for the time being. We will find another place to retreat and prepare to build the foundation. After the foundation is established, we will go back and see who can jump up. Then I'll listen to the boss." Ding Boss is stupid, he can do whatever the boss says. It's not bad to think about it. Those people will definitely be stunned when they see that they have established their foundations. So the two also picked a direction and left. Thinking of the foundation building pill in his arms, Boss Dong was still excited. At the same time, he also felt that the whole Gu family was a big joke. If it wasn't against his oath, he really wanted to tell the Gu family. What a great opportunity they lost, whether it was Guyao's uncle or Guyao himself. The four of Guyao originally planned to return directly to Tianfu Academy, but as soon as they left the underground space, Guyao received a message from Hu Ting, saying that it was the reward he had released. This matter is left behind, and I don't count on it. Although I don't have much expectations now, since Hu Ting has been specially summoned, it shows that this time is different from the previous one. "Let's go to Danding City," your grandfather said. Guyao told the little fat man the content of his grandfather's message. The little fat man is very happy to meet with his grandfather again. Now it is less than once. When Guyao and Qi Changjai leave Tianlin continent, he and Tian Firong will not stay, even his grandfather will not agree with him. Stay, because only by leaving can you have a wider and higher development space. The four of them diverted to Danding City without stopping. At the same time, Hu Ting also received replies from Guyao and his grandson respectively, so he waited for them at the main guild, and sent someone a message to the cultivator who brought the body training method. The cultivator who asked for Guyao came quickly. He had been living in Danding City for a while and did not dare to leave. He was worried that other cultivators would try to hit him. Physical exercises might not be very important, but important. The only thing that can be exchanged for Guyao is an alchemy promise. On the flying instrument, Guyao looked at Hu Ting's message, which explained the monk's situation. He is a monk from a declining family. He wants me to help him save his child. His child's problems are more complicated. When he was fighting with others, his danshan was abolished and he couldn't practice. As a result, he found a body refining in the family. He thought that he had found a new way to practice, so he began to practice the body. As a result, the more he practiced, the worse his physical condition became. Later, someone told him that his child was born with a physique that was not suitable for body practice. Forced practice would only cause the meridians to shrink. After stopping the practice, the symptoms did not continue to worsen. Although it didn't get worse, the injury was added to the original base. Hugu checked it out, and it's very troublesome to treat. Chi Changjai frowned, then what's next? He felt more troublesome after hearing it. Guyao thought for a while and said, let's go check the situation first, try my best, there's nothing I can do if I can't cure it. Pity the hearts of parents all over the world, this cultivator's child has become a waste, he has not given up, begging for Guyao's head, this intention makes Guyao a little moved. It can only be said that the human heart is too complicated, even a cultivator can't escape this category, there are those who regard their children as nothing, and even want to kill them, and there are also those who are willing to give everything for their children. When he came to Danding City, Guyao went directly to the Alchemy Master Guild without delaying the time. The cultivator was informed by the guild that Guyao was coming here, and the cultivator hurried to the general guild with his son. In his eyes, the news that Guyao was finally going to show up spread. Apart from Guyao's appearance, he couldn't think of anything else that could make the father and son so eager. But they didn't even see Guyao's face. Guyao and the others went directly to the Alchemist General Guild and met Hu Ting and others, including the father and son who were seeking medical treatment. Hu Ting swayed when he saw Guyao, and swayed again when he looked at his grandson, and then the sullenness in his eyes could not be restrained. Several people did not hide their cultivation, so he saw it. Guyao and his grandson's cultivation base has now been established. Needless to say, in the last year of disappearance, how many people have stayed in which blessed land to cultivate with one mind? Ancient alchemist. The cultivator who asked for a doctor said eagerly, this is a body training exercise handed down from my ancestors. No matter whether it can cure my son or not, this exercise is now owned by the ancient alchemist. He used the practice method to ask Guyao to make a move. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 204. There are certain similarities between alchemists, but alchemists and pharmacists may not be able to solve all intractable diseases. However, Guyao accepted the body training exercise first, because Hu Ting told him that the monk's son was injured after practicing this exercise. He was very curious whether it was the physical reason or the exercise itself caused by defects. He walked over to the young monk who was slumped on the reclining chair and reluctantly saluted him. He didn't look like he was in his 20s. His father had already established his foundation, and he could see that he was a little haggard recently because of this son. Guyao took his pulse and probed into his consciousness to carefully examine the situation in his body. Su Chen expressed curiosity and observed it together. After reading it, Guyadian was very different, never encountered such a situation. Have seniors ever encountered such a situation? Not only the meridians have shrunk, but even the danshan. Although the practice of the exercises has been stopped, the trend has eased, but from the symptoms are just slowing down. Shrinking to the end, this guy's life is not guaranteed, and now, it is almost paralyzed. I have seen it before, but the situation is different from him. Although the results are similar, Hu came to the conclusion that his physique is not suitable for body training. Look at that exercise method first. I suspect that the problem lies in this exercise method. Above, Su Chen replied. Guyao nodded in his heart, and sat on the side to read the jade slip sent by the middle-aged cultivator. There were a lot of people around him, and he didn't rush when he saw it. Although the middle-aged cultivator was anxious, he had waited for so long. Not in a hurry for a while. The young cultivator looked at Guyao with envy in his eyes. Guyao was about the same age as him, but he had grown into a person who needed him to look up. Gu Yao has a dual purpose, while asking Su Chen what caused the similar situation in the past, while looking at the exercises in the jade slip. Su Chen didn't hide it from him, and explained several common situations. The most common one is spirit devouring goo. This kind of goo insect is often refined by monks, and when it sneaks into a monk's body, it will devour the spiritual energy in the monk's body. Especially if it is lurking in the meridian dantian, when the spiritual energy in it is swallowed up, the meridian dantian will naturally shrink. Human creativity is endless, so the cultivators who specialize in shortcuts on the basis of soul-devouring goo are especially evil, and have created all kinds of derivative worms. When this kind of worm comes out of the body, it is time for the owner of the worm to recycle it. This kind of worm is more tonic than the rare spirit herbal medicine, and the spiritual energy in the worm is fed back to the owner. Can save many years of hard practice, especially for some people with poor aptitude. This method is undoubtedly a shortcut to rapid rise. Gu Yao was speechless when he heard it. He never thought that there was such a thing in the world. It was made by the monk himself. It sounded too evil. The Zerg has a kind of parasite, which is similar to this situation. It can even absorb the memory of the host and manipulate the host to hide among humans. After a rough scan of the exercises, it doesn't seem like there are too many problems. This body training exercise is a relatively mild type, not an extreme route, but after reading it, Gu Yao always felt that there was something wrong with this exercise. Brother Ye, take a look too. Gu Yao handed it to Qi Changjai, who was on the side. Qi Changjai was more knowledgeable than him. After reading it, he also passed the content to Su Chen. No, this technique is incomplete. Almost at the same time, Su Chen and Qi Changjai made the same sound, but of course only Gu Yao heard the former. What? The middle-aged cultivator said in surprise, it's the problem of the exercises, not my son's unsuitable physique. Then, isn't it because I harmed my son? This exercise looks gentle, but it is actually very domineering. Qi Changjai's cold voice sounded. At each stage, the amount of spiritual energy required by the exercise is very large. Draw. That's right, this kid is right. Su Chen praised. In the sea of consciousness of ancient remoteness, this practice is really overbearing, and this little cultivator who was injured himself can't bear it, but the more he cultivates, the more he shrinks back. The middle-aged cultivator swayed. He didn't doubt Qi Changjai's statement, because the result coincided with his child's symptoms. It wasn't because of the domineering of the practice, but their family had an ancestral practice. I have never touched such a body training method before, so I have no idea what the consequences will be. He smiled bitterly. Senior Qi, I don't know what is missing in the practice, and whether my son's body can recover. Qi Changjai said, what is lacking is naturally a method of externally replenishing the spiritual energy, which is nothing more than auxiliary means such as spiritual herbs and medicinal herbs. If there is no matching method, this method should not be used. Therefore, he would not agree with Gu. Those who practice this technique far away would have similar consequences over time. As for recovery, let's take some targeted medicinal pills to make up for the time being. He didn't know much about the rest. After all, he was an amateur, and he thought long and hard. Hu Ting and the others have never seen this exercise before. After all, this is something passed down from other people's families, so I didn't expect such a result at all. At this time, I have no scruples. When I handed it over to Changjai, he also looked at it. As a Jindan alchemist, he did see some inconsistencies in the practice, but he didn't have much contact with the body, so he was not as sharp as Qi Changjai. The middle-aged cultivator finally took a few medicinal pills from Gu Yao and left with his son with a wry smile. Gu Yao could only give a few medicinal pills to repair the meridians and replenish the spiritual energy, hoping to relieve the meridian dantian due to the exhaustion of spiritual energy. The shrinkage caused by the disease, but if I want to cure it, I can't think of a good way for the time being. including Hu Ting. The practice method has stayed, but no one in the general guild is interested in it at all, and they even want to stay far away. Gu Yao stayed for the time being, and while continuing to study the exercise, he wondered if there was a way to solve it, but Su Chen said a method. Didn't you talk about it before? Do you think that all insects are evil? Is there a good one? The method is on Sheng insect? Is it to use the soul-devouring Sheng in reverse? Isn't it necessary to cultivate a soul-devouring Gu first? Gu Yao asked curiously. Su Chen smiled and said, "You are so clever. You can draw inferences from one case so quickly. Of course, there are good and bad Gu worms. There is a medicine Gu in Gu masters. Using medicine Gu to help people heal is not the only way to devour and harm people. However, the reputation of Gu masters has never been very good, so even if there are people in the cultivation world who practice this way, they will also hide themselves. And how many monks do you think can control themselves after knowing that there is such a shortcut to touch that spirit-devouring Gu? So, most of the Gu masters will go down the wrong path, and very few can stick to their hearts. However, this kind of medicine Gu has always been precious, it is not easy to obtain, let alone cultivate. I have only heard of this aspect, but I don't know exactly how to do it. Don't expect Dan Pavilion, there is no record of this." Gu Yao was not disappointed. The existence of the Pill Pavilion was already enough to defy the sky, and it would be too greedy to expect it to be all-encompassing. Gu Yao relayed what Su Chen said to Qi Changjai. Qi Changjai had never heard of a Gu master, but he had heard of cultivators who cultivated bugs and used them to fight, but they sounded somewhat different. What he saw and heard was very limited. Gu Yao said goodbye after 2 days. He still had one more thing to solve. Hu Ting didn't hold back much, and apologized for letting you all run away this time in vain. "President, you are too polite, this is not what you can expect, President, and it's a pity that I couldn't help that fellow deist. It can be seen that there is still a long way to go in the way of alchemy, and I still have a lot to learn." Because Su Chen said that, in addition to using Gu worms in turn, if his strength goes one step further, he can refine a single medicinal pill, help the cultivator solve the problem, and even if his cultivation base is higher and he improves his pill technique, even if the meridian dantian is completely destroyed, it can be reshaped, which makes Gu Yao feel high. Hu Ting watched the 4 people go away. Now that his grandson has established the foundation, he can do not much for his grandson besides helping to prepare the elixir, and he can foresee that the time for the few people to stay on the Tianlin continent is getting longer and longer. The shorter it is, the sadder is born in my heart. But no matter how reluctant he is, he will not stop his grandson's footsteps. Only by leaving here can he continue to pursue his cultivation path. The space in Tianlin continent is too small. I didn't expect to hide in the Nanmang Mountains. The 4 stood on the flying instruments, overlooking the mountains below. The Nanmang Mountains are very famous on the Tianlin continent. There are many mountains here that are covered with mist all year round, and the mist contains miasma, so ordinary monks dare not enter easily, but there are also many places with strong spiritual energy. Rare spiritual grass is what monks desire, so many monks still go here to find opportunities. Gu Yao knew that there were many shops in Danding City that sold spirit grasses from the Nanmang Mountains. Some businesses set up shop in a safe area outside the Nanmang Mountains to buy their harvests from the monks who came and went in and out of the mountains. Let's go in." Qi Changjai glanced at the distribution of the mountains below, and controlled the flying instrument to plunge into the thick fog. The situation in the sky was discovered by many monks below. Seeing that the flying instrument was plunged into it regardless, there was a lot of discussion. Who is this stupid and daring to die, thinking that this is a place, and the flying instrument dares to fly directly into it? I don't know how it will die by then. Don't allow people with great strength, just have the confidence to break in directly, such as the senior chief from Tianfu College. Where is there in the Nanmang Mountains that he can't go? Senior Chi would have such a leisurely heart to come to the Nanmang Mountains? There is only such a Senior Chi in the Tianlin continent. Do you really think everyone can do it? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 205. In a mountain range, a few monks walked through it with difficulty, surrounded by monsters waiting for an opportunity, waiting for the best time to pounce and bite their prey. In addition to the senior brothers who led the team, they were relatively refreshing, and the other junior brothers and sisters were very wolves. They had already experienced many battles when they went deep into this place. However, this is Lilian. As disciples of the Northern Star sect, they cannot grow into the greenhouse. Flowers must come out to experience the test of life and death. However, the sect also sent senior brothers and sisters with relatively high cultivation and experience to lead the team, and they took action at critical moments to save the lives of others. After a few people joined forces to get rid of a monster that was hiding in the dark and blocking the way, they couldn't move, and they all sat down on the spot. No, I can't run anymore, I can't wait to lie down and sleep here. Already. Senior brother, let's stay here for the night, rest for a night, and leave tomorrow morning. One by one, the screams made the senior brothers who led the team laugh. They came over like this at the beginning. Seeing the brothers and sisters suffering, they felt a strange sense of satisfaction. Okay, you rest, I will deal with it here, otherwise, the smell of blood will attract all the monsters in the surrounding area, and I may not be able to save you, senior brother. The group finally relaxed and took out the dry food they brought to solve the problem on the spot, or chewed on the spiritual fruit. Lu Minzu was also in the team, which was completely different from when she first came out of Yuanyang town. The breath became more and more fierce, and the senior brother who led the team gave her a special look. It is not a disciple that the elders fancy. There will definitely be a breakthrough in this Hualilian, which will make many disciples of the sect envy. But thinking about the few who participated in the Immortal Ascension Conference in the same year, the senior brother smiled bitterly. If it wasn't for those few people who suddenly rose up and made great strides along the way, junior sister Lu's performance should be quite outstanding. The light was completely blocked. After disposing of the smell, the senior brother returned and said, "It's deep enough here, and I can't guarantee any dangerous situations, so don't relax completely at night. And there are not only monsters in danger here, but also monks who have been in the mountains for a long time. Some monks make a living by hunting and killing us sect disciples, so we can't be negligent. Knowing senior brother, we will be more vigilant." They are also very clear that this kind of place cannot be sloppy, and senior brother reminds them for their own good. After nightfall, even the senior brothers did not expect that they fell into a coma before many protective measures took effect, and a few men in black walked out of the darkness, and the first one let out a harsh laugh. "That's really good, it's actually North Star." The disciples of the sect, these sect disciples have cultivated enough spiritual energy one by one, and it is better to use them as materials. You guys be careful, and bring them all back. Yes, master. The defensive formation set up was not able to resist the men in black. The formation was quickly corroded by the black mist. Even these monks were covered with a layer of black air, and they were quickly evacuated by the men in black. It didn't take long for this place to leave nothing but footprints, and even the nearby monsters were not interested in running here. There was an aura that disgusted them. I don't know how long it took, Lu Minzu woke up from the coma. Her drowsy brain made her immediately realize that something was wrong, otherwise she would not have felt this way. Her eyes were still closed, and she wanted to find out her environment first. A sneer sounded in his ears, and he suddenly knew that he had been exposed, so he simply opened his eyes and looked. Her limbs were weak, and she couldn't even mobilize her spiritual power, but when she saw the monk standing there condescendingly looking at her, she finally changed her face and showed a shocked expression. "It's you. It's you, Gu-chan." Even if it wasn't what she looked like when she was a teenager, even if her breath and appearance had changed a bit, she still recognized it at first glance. The guy with his arms folded in front of him with an evil look on his face was Gu Chen, one of the twins of the ancient family in Yuanyang Town. I had known that Gu Chen had disappeared during the Immortal Ascension Conference, but I didn't expect to see him at this moment. What makes her pupils shrink even more is that Gu Chen's cultivation is actually higher than hers. How is this possible? I really didn't expect to meet Sister Minzu here. I'm not allergic, and I didn't expect it to be me. Beijing, you are the disciple of the elders of the Northern Star section. What is Gu Chen in your eyes? What about the disciples? Now they are not my prisoners, haha. Gu Chen laughed wildly. As long as he gave him a little more time, those people in the past would all become ants in his hands. He didn't want to deal with this woman so quickly, but who made her think about it and bump into his hands? Take her to the knife. Lu Minzu's heart kept sinking. This Gu Chen had changed completely, and the aura on her body also made her vaguely guess that Gu Chen took a different path from theirs and was spurned by the right path. Gu Chen, have I offended you before? In any case, Lu Minzu was unwilling to fail. If he couldn't escape, he would try to delay the time and wait for the seniors of the sect to rescue them. They disappeared suddenly, and they should be gone in a short time. It will be discovered the current situation of the Gu family is not caused by our Lu family. If you want to ask, you should also ask your eldest brother Gu Yang and your good uncle. We were just used by them at the beginning. Their purpose is not. Is it the Changxianmen token on Gu Yao? Bitch, Gu Chen flicked the black whip in his hand, and Lu Minzu snorted, not letting herself call out, you think it's still the same as in the past? What do you say, Gu Xing and I will follow? Treat us as fools. It's more than that, Gu Yang, you are the same, you were also laughing at us two fools at that time. Bitch, why can you become a disciple of the aloof Northern Star sect, while Gu Xing lives so humble? Gu Chen whipped Lu Minzu with whip after whip. His whole face was completely distorted, and it looked strange and strange. Gee, you left Yuanyang Town, but I have to stay there. If it wasn't for you, I would. How could he fall into the hands of that old thing? How much suffering he has suffered over the years, and only survived after suffering. All the suffering he has endured will be repaid to these people, including those ancient family members, and others. That high-ranking Gu family head, his good grandfather, let him remember the ancient family. He would let the old guy see with his own eyes how the Gu family was destroyed in his hands. Lu Minzu's face turned white, and sweat dripped from her forehead. There was no place for her to escape Gu Chen's whip. Gu Chen was simply twisted, and the pain was so extreme that Lu Minzu desperately roared, you, Gu Chen, too. You only dare to attack people like us, why don't you dare to attack Gu Yao? Ha, I see, you know that the gap between Gu Yao and Gu Yao is too big, and you will never be able to match him, not to mention that there are still others around Gu Yao. The powerful Jindan Jiangzi followed, so you Gu Chen can only hide like a mouse. Haha, Gu Xing is humble? Why didn't you see Gu Chen rescue Gu Xing? It's not the sin of your Gu family. Gu Chen stepped forward and grabbed Lu Minzu's neck and belled her from the ground. The latter struggled hard, trying to get rid of it, but she couldn't raise her strength at all, but she still used her eyes to express her provocation and disdain for Gu Chen. He is far worse than Gu Yao. Compared with Gu Yao, he is a mouse who will never see the light. You, courting death. Gu Chen gritted his teeth and jumped out, and at the same time used force on his hands. As long as he used a little more, the delicate neck would be twisted by him, but in the end he threw him to the ground again. It's too cheap for you to die like this. You don't know, your flesh and blood will be used for my cultivation, and your soul will also be extracted by me in the end, and will be used for my driving. You say what will happen to your soul to deal with your Lu family, ha. Lu Minzu was lying on the ground panting, crazy, this person is really crazy. But at this moment, a cold humming sound came from the darkness. which made Gu Chen horrified and rushed out, but half of the whole person flew backwards and slammed next to Lu Minzu again, and hung to the ground with a groaning sound. He spat out a mouthful of blood, the blood turned black, and exuded an unpleasant stench. Just smelling Lu Minzu made him dizzy. What did this guy do to himself? Who else will save her? Lu Minzu thought groggily. She seemed to see two figures walking in the blur, and then Gu Chen didn't dare to scream, and she lost consciousness again. A moment ago, Gu Chen also thought that one day he would step on Gu Yao under his feet, and he trembled with excitement when he thought of such a scene, but he did not expect that the next moment, Gu Yao would appear in front of his eyes. Gu Yao is very different from the past. However, he has often seen various images about Gu Yao over the years, so he can recognize Gu Chen even if he turns into ashes. He wanted to twist his neck and extract his soul countless times. Exorcise Julian, let him experience the pain to survive and not to die, but he clearly knows that now is not the time. He still needs to be dormant, and now the gap between him and Gu Yao is still very different. Just like Lu Minzu said, Gu Yao is beside him, there is a Jindan Jiangziu. As long as there is this person, there is no possibility for him to succeed. But why does this appear now? Who betrayed him? You. Gu Chen suddenly restrained his expression of resentment at the next moment, jumped over and jumped at Gu Yao's feet. Brother, eldest brother, I was wrong, I have been wrong all these years, they taught me, and that is the one the old guy caught me here, and every day I think about when you will come to rescue me from the sea of misery. Brother, I really know I was wrong, brother, give me a chance. Gu Chen cried with snot and tears, so miserable, but the two of them looked down at him, their expressions were not moved at all. They didn't just arrive. How did Gu Chen treat Lu Minzu? What did they say? The two, they heard it clearly, and what was even more funny was that they could hear that Gu Chen hated the entire Gu family. The head of the Gu family also regarded Gu Chen as a trump card. What is destroying the ancient home? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 206. Gu Yao said, do you think the word eldest brother is very valuable? When I was still a poor child in an ancient house looking forward to your affection. From the moment I stepped out of the gate of the ancient house, for me, I was freed from the cage. Since then, the sea and the sky have opened up, and the two words you easily call out now are just awakening my past memories. Gu Chen was stunned. This person is really different from before, the change is too great. Of course he knows how humble and eagerly watched their family of four get along with Gu Yao, who was huddled in the corner in the past. How embarrassed it was at that time, and even deliberately showed it to him. Gu Yao lowered his body again, stretched out his hand, and rolled up the object attached to his body. Besides, at this moment, you are all trying to calculate my life, the word eldest brother is too cheap. Don't worry, for this blood relationship, I will not take your life with my own hands, but I will not help Zhou to make a fool of himself. Speaking of Gu Yao, he abolished Gu Chen's Danshan, making him lose his cultivation base and become an ordinary person. He wants to see if he has a chance to get up again after destroying his Danshan. If Danshan's exercises can really be done, he would have to admire his perseverance. Gu Chen rolled on the ground in pain, and Gu Yao gathered a flame in his hand, and the flame burned a dark red insect surrounded by the middle, and the harsh sound of the insect could be heard during the period. When the worm was burned, Gu Chen spit out another mouthful of blood. This is a worm he cultivated with his own essence and blood. Although it can't reach the level of the worm, it still has 1 or 2 points of efficacy. The previous begging for mercy, sneaking this worm into Gu Yao's body, to achieve the purpose of manipulating Gu Yao, even if it can't be achieved, the worm is made of yin and filthy things, it can also affect Gu Yao's heart. After being stunned, a surprise arose in his heart. Who let Gu Yao run in front of him himself, and he didn't take advantage of it at this moment. He thought it was an opportunity presented to him, but he didn't expect him to underestimate this person too much. The sound of fighting came from outside. It was Tianfirong and the little fat man fighting against those evil cultivators. Gu Yao stopped looking at Gu Yao, flicked a pill into Lu Minzu's mouth, and left with Qi Changjai. After a while, Lu Minzu woke up, and the spiritual power in her body came back. She could feel the taste of the medicinal pill still in her mouth. She was shocked, and immediately released her consciousness to check the situation outside, and saw the person walking out side by side. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai didn't even turn their heads when they sensed her consciousness. Lu Minzu laughed in a low voice. Gu Chen's tragic situation is in front of him. It's ridiculous that Gu Chen deliberately wanted to deal with Gu Yao, but he couldn't even deal with Gu Yao with a single finger, so he was easily abolished, but he was hiding in a dark corner. The mouse, no matter what, can't walk under the sun, can't compete with the light. When she walked in front of Gu Chen, she still couldn't restrain her smile. Look at how pitiful you are, alchemist Gu let you live, and I won't do extra actions. I really hope you can live longer and don't die so easily. Gu Chen, who was still conscious, spit out another mouthful of blood, but Lu Minzu turned around and walked out, abolishing his cultivation base. In this dangerous Nanmang Mountains, it was impossible to move, and Gu Chen's life had entered the countdown. Why should she do anything else? After Gu Yao and Qi Changjai came here, they didn't find out about the disciples of the Northern Star sect first, but they first searched for Gu Chen's whereabouts, and they found not only him, but also Lu Minzu, who also came out of Yuanyang town. There was a feeling of evil fate, and then Tianfirong and the little fat man went to deal with other evil cultivators, and the two of them went to Gu Chen. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai are very relieved to leave Tianfirong to deal with those evil cultivators. Even if they are not capable, Qi Changjai can rush past them with a single thought. There was a gust of gloomy wind outside, and there was the harsh sound of the vibrating soul from the ghost, and there were poisonous insects hidden in the dark clouds in the air, but then the red flames burned the sky red, and both the ghost and the poisonous insect fled out desperately. But was blocked by the formation set up by Qi Changjai early in the morning, and was finally burned by the flames that arrived. They came just in time, and all the disciples of the Northern Star sect were rescued by them and went in with them. Tianfirong dragged a cultivator out. The cultivator was holding a ghost flag in his hand, but at this moment, the ghost flag was burned into a hole and completely useless. Seeing Gu Yao and Qi Changjai coming in, Tianfirong pouted at the evil cultivator and said, "This old guy actually wants to take me away and seek death. If it weren't for his special physique, he might still be recruited. It's really not that easy to go up, and all kinds of means make people guard against it." Qi Changjai stretched out his hand and took him, and searched for his soul rudely. It didn't take long for the whole person to turn into powder under his sword energy, and said coldly, "This evil cultivator is a good method, specializing in attacking those who are inconspicuous. The idea of a small family, taking away a family child can get the support of the family behind him and provide him with cultivation resources. Gu Chen is an example. The loose cultivator who died in their hands is unknown. Hit the monks of the sect and the big family." Lu Minzu, who rushed over, happened to hear this. He didn't expect that this group of forces were hidden so deeply. If it wasn't for Gu Yao and the others, they would have been caught by accident this time. Lu Minzu sincerely greeted the two of them. "A salute, Minzu thanks Gu Alchemist and Senior Qi for their rescue, the Northern Star sect is very grateful. Junior sister, you'll be fine." "Thank you, Master Gu, Senior Qi," and two fellow deists. The senior brother who led the team was also grateful. "The means are too bizarre. It's okay, just clean up this place thoroughly." Gu Yao waved his hand and said. "Okay." The disciples of the Northern Star sect joined hands to help. At this moment, Qi Changjai was holding the things that fell out of the evil cultivator's storage bag. All the items related to the evil aura were destroyed by him. He didn't even have the interest to take a look at these things, and he didn't. It's suitable to spread out, it's better to end it here. It's just that the jade slip he was holding in his hand made him take another look, and just this one glance made him realize that what was recorded in it was the other half of the body training method that Guyao was currently lacking. It was incredible that he would find it here. A booklet that was destroyed before recorded the usage of some of the formulas in it, but it was not the right way. Guyao looked at the jade slip that fell into his hands, and probed into his divine sense to check. His face showed surprise. He didn't have any hope for the missing half of the body training method, but he didn't expect to find it here, but after a rough sweep, he put it into the space first, but Su Chen studied it with great interest. After the night, the sun rose, the cloudy mist over here dissipated, and the gloomy atmosphere gathered here would gradually dissipate. The senior brother and Lu Menzu, who led the North Star sect, were saying goodbye to Guyao and the others. Lu Menzu was very grateful for the arrival of Guyao and Qi Changjai. Thinking of the past, she was very ashamed. She was not as much as Guyao, Gu alchemist, senior Qi, I. Guyao guessed what she wanted to say, but the root of those things in the past was not on her. Without Lu Menzu, there would also be another Lu family daughter, Dai Lu. There is no need to say more. You and I are old acquaintances. Bar. Lu Menzu breathed a sigh of relief. Guyao didn't hold any grudges in the past, and also, without such an open mind, Guyao couldn't get to where she is now, but at the same time she felt lost in her heart. After all, she couldn't leave anything in this person's heart. Friend Lu is not much better than a stranger. Just as she was thinking about it, another person's eyes made her heart agitate, and that person was Qi Changjai. Lu Menzu hurriedly said, Alchemist Gu and Senior Qi are very dear, we will not disturb the trip of the four of you. She almost offended Qi Changjai. Some people who didn't know the details thought that Qi Changjai would stay by his side because of his identity as an alchemist. However, the things she experienced at the beginning made her very clear that Qi Changjai valued it more. It was Guyao. As someone who witnessed the scene, Qi Changjai didn't take this opportunity to kill people. It was a good thing. Lu Menzu didn't dare to think any more. Everyone, farewell. The disciples clasped their fists to say goodbye, and then the flying instrument rose from the ground, flew into the air, and disappeared into the sky in a blink of an eye. The disciple of the Northern Star sect took a long time to look back, and the senior brother who led the team sighed, let's go, we have come to an end this time, let's go back to the section. Yes, brother. After leaving the Nanmang Mountains, Guyao vaguely felt that his connection with the Gu family was weaker, and even the bottle diameter that had been blocked before Jindan was loosened, and the time to leave the Tianlin continent was closer. Going back to Tianfu Academy, Guyao and Qi Changjai only stayed for a few months, made some arrangements at Tianfu Academy, and left something for the Alchemy Master Guild. There is no hurry, the day they will come back, if nothing else, the 10-year appointment is imminent. In Tianfu Academy, the four of them are almost in seclusion, except for President Yu, who can often come into contact with them. After finishing the affairs, the four of them set off. In fact, Tianfu College has always hidden a teleportation array, but that teleportation array has also been damaged. The previous deans have been trying to repair it but have not been able to repair it, and the energy required for transmission is also huge, and the situation at the other end is even worse. I don't know how. The day of separation has come. Dean Yu stood on the main peak where he was, and looked at the sky that had long since disappeared. He did not ask where the teleportation array was, nor was he interested in going to the other side through the teleportation array. In the rest of the 10-year appointment, he needs to maintain the order of Tianlin continent and watch over the old guy in Shifang City. For example, Zhang Yan and others felt that they had lost something in their hearts, but they cheered up quickly. The 10-year appointment will soon pass. They believe that Tianlin continent will have a new look in 10 years. At that time, Tianlin continent will no longer be his bondage. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 207. The flying instruments that the four of them rode once again came to the desolate place outside Yuanyang town. When Gu Yao was about to enter the underground space with his hands, the four of them suddenly sensed that two breaths had just broken through the foundation, and the four of them headed in that direction. After taking a look, they all laughed. It seemed that Boss Dong and Ding Dolly had good luck. But this has nothing to do with them. A passage appeared in front of the four of them, and Gu Yao and Chi Changjai took the lead and jumped in. The last time the four of them came over, they didn't reach the position of the teleportation array. This time, Gu Yao led them directly. It was located under the underground space, under the underground fire veins, for the strong power of fire veins and the power of earth. The package provides a steady stream of energy and ensures that the big array keeps running. It's an amazing method. It's not easy to arrange such a large formation. Chi Changjai felt that even if he cultivated to the nascent soul stage, he would not be able to set up such a perfect formation. Gu Yao squeezed his hands, the light of the big formation flickered, and the four disappeared in the big formation in a blink of an eye. Not long after they left, Yuanyang town welcomed two new foundation establishment monks, causing an uproar in the whole town. These two foundation building cultivators do not belong to any of the three families, so I wonder if they will replace one of them. The Gu family was the most astonished. Only the Gu family knew that they barely maintained the current situation. The variables brought about by these two foundation building cultivators were too great, and the Gu family was the most threatened. Patriarch, it's not good, young Master Gu Chen's soul card is broken. What? Patriarch Gu stood up abruptly, but was dizzy for a while. Qinhao continent. In a calm sea, waves suddenly broke out, and four auras rushed out from it, followed by a group of sea beasts. Some of them even jumped out of the sea, and finally fell back unwillingly, lingering on the sea for a long time, roaring at the four people who were far away. The little fat man looked at the back with lingering fears, and wiped the sea water on his face. Mother, the teleportation array is actually so deep on the bottom of the sea that I was almost surrounded by those sea beasts. Now the four of them are sitting on the flying instrument. Thinking about the scene just now, even Chi Changjai couldn't help laughing. He looked back at the sea below and said with a smile that if it wasn't hidden in that seabed, I'm afraid this teleportation array can't keep it. Gu Yao nodded and said, no, who would have thought that the teleportation formation would be here, but the spiritual energy here is really strong. I don't know where we are now. Gu Yao said that he took out the map he got last time. The location of the teleportation formation was not marked on the map. Just guessing where it was based on this endless sea of sea, the only thing that made them happy was that Changxianmen, the boundary of the land, is not connected to a large sea area, so it should not be on the side of Changxianmen. It is not a pleasant thing to fight with Changxianmen as soon as you come here. Thinking of Changxianmen, the four of them all changed their appearances, but the difference is that this time, the little fat man used his true face, and was asked by Gu Yao and Tian Firong jointly. Although he looked tender, it was easy fooling people. How many people will be wary when they see this face? The little fat man was powerless to resist and was forced to accept the reality. Chi Changjai even compressed his cultivation to the stage of foundation building. On the way, the four foundation building cultivators met a cultivator from a family who had come out to practice. So invite them to accompany them. This family's surname is Yan. There are more than a dozen cultivators on the ship, including foundation building and chi refining period. From the conversation, we know that the Yan family has Jindan cultivators in charge, so it is not weak in the local area. In addition to inquiring about the origins of the four, Yan Sun, who led the team, also meant to draw them into the Yan family. Yan Sun was a late foundation building cultivator. He was very curious about the 4 foundation building cultivators who suddenly appeared, and at the same time he was secretly on guard. In his eyes, Chi Chang-Jai among the 4 was the great foundation building cultivator, while Guyao was the late foundation building cultivator. Tian Firong and Little Fatty are middle stage cultivators of foundation building. Yan Sun thinks such a force cannot be underestimated, especially Chi Chang-Jai is very young in his eyes. Can also sit on an equal footing. Fellow Daoist Chang, Yan Sun introduced to Chi Chang-Jai, who goes by the pseudonym Chang Ye, we are about to reach the land, and our Yan family is in Jianjiaun City, the largest cultivation city in this area. Where to go? Why don't you go to Jianjiaun City to have a look first? The help of several Taoist friends to our Yan family this time is unforgettable. Yan Daiyu is very polite, without you leading the way, we would not be able to find our way at sea, we just help each other. Chi Chang-Jai smiled faintly. A few people stood on the bow talking and laughing, and the guards of the Yan family were also discussing these outsiders. Even if their original appearance was covered up, the bearing of the 4 people could not be ignored, especially Chi Chang-Jai, who was headed by them. Not to mention the fact that he is young and has high cultivation, if he can win over, he may become a Jindan cultivator in the near future. Yan Yuchen and Yan Yuyan are a pair of sisters, and they are still very popular in the Yan family. There are many suitors, but so far no one has been able to pick the sisters. There is even a bet in Zhongyunchinj, who will win them first. Favor. Sister Yuchen, are you looking at that fellow Daoist Chang again? He, if you ask your sister to tell me that it is a blessing to save my life, it's also a good thing. Maybe there will be a good story, Yan Yuyan said with a smile. Yan Yuchen's pretty face blushed slightly. At that time, she was almost swept into the sea by a sea beast. At that time, a sword chi attacked and cut off the tail of the sea beast. Yan Yuchen was also saved. Since being saved, Yan Yuchen has been secretly paying attention to this young monk named Chang Ye. Unfortunately, his temperament is too cold, and it is not easy to approach. Yan Yuan tried to express his gratitude several times, but he was perfunctory and said that it was not worth mentioning. When he went to land, he had already paid back, which made Yan Yuchen a little discouraged. But if you change your temperament, maybe Sister Yuchen won't care anymore. Yan Yuyan pointed out Yan Yuchen's true thoughts, and the latter's face turned even redder. Since we were almost on land, everyone went back to the cabin to sort out their belongings and prepare to disembark on shore. In the cabin where the 4 of them were resting, Tian Firong looked at Chi Chang-Jai playfully. It was obvious that his appearance was very ordinary, but why did other girls like him at first sight? With such an obvious attitude, no matter how slow he is, he will be noticed, and it is even more attractive. The other monks on the ship who admired the girl became hostile to all 4 of them. Brother Chang is really popular, pity the 3 of us and we won't be taken seriously by others. If you want to eat some spirit fruit, you have to be in the light of Brother Chang. Tian Firong squeezed a spirit fruit. This is the Miss Yan family. It was sent here in order to be grateful for the life-saving grace. This spiritual fruit is not found on the Tianlin continent, and it tastes very good. Chi Chang-Jai glanced at him angrily. You can't fill your mouth with food, you have to be envious. When you get to Zhongyunchinj, you can stay in the Yan family as a son-in-law. Don't, Tian Firong quickly apologized, joking, he didn't want to provoke any female cultivator. The little fat man also grabbed the spirit fruit and ate it up, saying, so, we are now in the east of Qinhao continent, and the biggest force here is Taluiman. Although they didn't ask about it deliberately, they also got a lot of news, which was enough for them to match the map in their hands. Guyao nodded and said, yeah, it's in the east, and Changxianmen is in the south. There is a mountain range between Changxianmen and Taluiman. This place is much larger than Tianlin continent, so they are not too far away from Changxianmen, and they are not too close. So far, they have not heard of Changxianmen from other people. The status of Changxian sect is not low, Chi Chang-Jai deduced, it should be a sect with the same strength as Tailuo section. Tailuoman has Yuanying cultivators in charge, so Changxianmen will not lose Yuanying cultivators. They did not rush into the realm of Changxianmen through the teleportation array, which is a very correct decision. After half a day, someone came to remind them that they were about to land. The four of them took their belongings and walked out of the cabin together. When they looked up, they saw the pair of sisters from the Yan family looking over. He was very unhappy, and he felt that his own people were being blatantly poached in front of him. Task. Only those who know him can perceive this subtle emotional change. In the eyes of others, this cultivator surnamed Yao is mild-mannered and very easygoing. There is a reminder from Daoist Lao Yan Chi Changjai bowed to Yan Sun. Where, this is what it should be. Yan Sun asked the four to go to the bow together and wait to disembark. When I got out of the cabin, I saw a lot of ships docked in this area. Their ships that can carry dozens of people are not eye-catching. However, the Yan family still has some power in the local area and has its own exclusive position, so it went smoothly. When they stopped, the group went ashore, and the Yan family had long been waiting on the shore. The four of Guyao and Yan's family sat on the flying instrument. They said that it was a flying instrument. In fact, it was more like a mobile training residence. The instrument was carved with beams and painted buildings, and there were rockery springs. It looked very luxurious. Compared with Tianlin continent, it is slightly different. Of course, the more luxurious Chi Changjai has also seen it, so he just glanced at it and skipped it, but paid more attention to the outside scenery. The Yan family who came to pick them up asked Yan Sun about the origins of these four people. I received a summons from you before we came here. You didn't ask them their identities. Are they reliable? Yan Sun said, the four of them claimed to be loose cultivators. When they went out to travel, they lost their way and drifted on the sea for a long time. The place they were talking about happened to be on the other side of the sea, and we could only travel between the two sides. The merchant ships of the company know a thing or two, and it is impossible to know whether what they say is true or not. This is when Guyao and the four learned about Zhongyunchinj, and they casually mentioned a location they saw on the map, and they fooled around. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 208. According to Guyao and the others, Shifang City used to be a very prosperous city. Later, with the rise of Danding City and the earth-shattering war, most of the city was destroyed. However, it is undeniable that the development time of Danding City is still short, and maybe it will reach or even surpass the Shifang City in its heyday in another 10 or 2 years. But in front of this Jianjiun City is the Shifang City in its heyday, and it can't compare to it. However, in the well-known cultivation city of Qinhao continent, this Jianjiun City is not ranked at all. It feels like a countryman entering the city for the first time. No wonder the monks from Changxianmen came to the Tianlin continent and always looked at people with their nostrils up and their chins up. Yan Sun strongly invited the four of Chi Changjai to visit Yan's house, but Chi Changjai declined, so he had no choice but to leave a communication method, so that the four of them could come to Yan's house if they had something to do. So the group said goodbye at the gate of the city, and the Yan family walked out. After all this time, Guyao could still sense the reluctance in his eyes, and wrinkled his nose involuntarily. Let's go, let's find a place to live, first get acquainted with the environment here before making plans. Chi Changjai Pai Pei Guyao fitting okay. Brother Chi, are there many Jindan cultivators here? Tian Firong asked Chi Changjai through voice transmission. Chi Changjai replied, there are several auras that are not weaker than Jindan, and this does not include those who have completely restrained their auras. As soon as these words came out, Tian Firong and the little fat man's originally inflated mentality suddenly restrained a lot in the Tianlin continent. Monks who build foundations at their age, that is, a wave of resources has recently emerged, and put it in the past. It's extremely rare. After staying there for a long time, listening to people's praise, it is inevitable to be a little overwhelmed. Now that I think that there may be more golden cores on the Qinhao continent than the Foundation establishment cultivators on the Tianlin continent, and there are even more powerful nascent soul powers, the mentality that is inflated will shrink back, and I feel the pressure of layers upon layers. It's been a year and a half, and there are quite a few young-looking foundation-building cultivators on the road. Guyao and the others gradually put away their curiosity, and Qi Changjai glanced at the three of them secretly. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. In fact, this is nothing, it's just that a mountain is higher than a mountain. The four of them are not short of spirit stones, and they found an inn to book a yard, but the price here is obviously much higher than that of Tianlin continent. Although they tasted the local special spirit fruit refreshments provided by the Yan family on the sea boat, the monks in the foundation building have already eaten bigu, and most of the monks in the Qi refining period also eat bigu pills when they go out to practice. After settling down, the four of them went to the restaurant that also belonged to the inn, ordered a table of wine and food, and opened their stomachs to eat. Qi Changjai moved several dishes that Guyao Huan had eaten to him without a trace, and secretly memorized the ingredients they used in his heart, so he could try them if he had the chance. They ate and drank heavily here, and someone from the Yan family on the other side reported the situation of the four to Yan Sun. Yan Sun said to the patriarch on the main seat, "Patriarch, it does sound like you are going out to play." "Yes, and it's really unfamiliar to our Zhongyunchinj, it's not like you've been here before." The Yan family master said, "You are right, but they have no intention of joining our Yan family. In any case, the main thing is to make good friends." Yes, the head of the family Yan Sun thought that if the other party really agreed to join the Yan family, they would be suspicious of the identities of these people, suspecting that they had ulterior motives for the Yan family, and these four people should not be that simple. The loose cultivator of the cultivator has a strong breath and a solid spiritual power, and has a very solid foundation. Perhaps the forces behind him are not weaker than the Yan family, and it would be a joke to draw them into the Yan family. By the way, I heard that Muan of the Mu family was favored by the Yuanying elders of Taluiman. This Mu family and Muan boy are lucky. Although the Yan family's face was a little unhappy, he was envious. If any of the Yan family's children are favored by Elder Yuanying, maybe the Yan family will be ready to celebrate when the news comes back. I heard. Yes, Yan Sun could only reply dryly. Forget it, even so, our Yan family is not so easy to bully. How can the Elder Yuanying of Taluiman intervene in the family disputes below? Guyao and the four of them had a full meal and sat by the window, listening to the gossip from the monks in the lobby downstairs. The information they could absorb was much better than before. There's a lot on board. Do you know that Muan of the Mu family was accepted as a direct disciple by the Yuanying elder of Taluiman? He is really amazing. It would be great if I could become a disciple of Yuanying great master someday. It's faster to daydream. Speaking of the brothers of the Mu family, it's really a day and a day. Muan showed his talent for cultivation at a young age. When Taluiman recruited disciples, he was admitted to the sect, from outer sect disciple to inner sect disciple, and then to now. It is not easy to walk step by step, but his own younger brother, Mu Quan, knew that he was arrogant and domineering because of the Mu family's family power, but this time his brother became the disciple of nascent soul, and Mu Quan was even more proud. Bar. I heard that Mu Quan took a fancy to Miss Yan Yuchen from the Yan family. The head of the Mu family also asked for a marriage from the Yan family for his son. The Yan family did not agree. I wonder if the Yan family will compromise this time. Humph, Mu Quan really dares to think that the Yan family's sister flowers are so easy to pick? As long as he has 1 or 2% of his brother's ability, this marriage has already been negotiated, and who will let him not live up to his expectations? Guyao and the others listened with gusto upstairs. In Jianjian City, in addition to the Yan family and the Mu family, there is also a Chen family that stands out. Of course, this is only a local force, and the background of the foreign merchants is not what Guyao and the others can do now. Got it? Of course, in this realm, although Tayluiman is the most powerful, there are still many sect clan forces, and many young heroes have emerged from these forces, and there is a lot of gossip around them. Yan Yuchen of the Yan family has been very annoying recently, and Mu Quan is one of her suitors. However, in the eyes of the Yan family, even someone like Mu Quan dares to think of one of the sisters of their Yan family. Eating swan meat is self-defeating. Yan Yuchen didn't take Mu Quan seriously at first, and ignored his various actions. Even if there was a brother in Tayluiman, what if there was no one in the Yan family in Tayluiman? Hearing that Mu Quan's eldest brother, Muan, was accepted as a disciple by the elder Yuan Ying, Mu Quan jumped out and said that if she didn't marry, he would ask his brother to come back and call the shots. Yan Yuchen was very angry, and there were still some people in the family who said sarcastic words, and when she was upset, she came out with Yan Yuyan to relax. She didn't expect to come out, but it was a bad thing, which made her suspect that either someone in the family had tipped off Mu Quan, or that Mu Quan had specially found someone to keep an eye on the Yan family's movements, so not long after she came out, she was stopped by Mu Quan with his dog legs. Going down *, there are many cultivators who are born with jade trees facing the wind, but this Mu Quan looks like a fat man. One person can stand up to 2 or 3 others. The fat head and ears are disgusting, but he is still holding it in his hand. A fan, fanning it like a fan. Yan's sister, it's a coincidence, we met again, I'll say we have a fate, what do you want to buy? This young master has packed it, and the rare thing is the spirit stone. Mu Quan was rich and powerful, Yan Yuchen was flushed with anger, her status in the Yan family was no better than Mu Quan, the latter was the son of the family owner, although not up to the mark, but all kinds of resources and spiritual stones were not lacking, so she piled up her cultivation bases on the foundation building, but Yan Yuchen is not a direct descendant, and needs to compete for resources with other family members, and it is impossible for him to be as happy as Mu Quan. Who has fate with you? Don't think I don't know how you got here, just get out of the way. Mu Quan shook his head in a dignified manner. Yuzhan, why can't you see clearly? It's better to recognize the reality earlier. You can only marry me in this life, as long as I say Mu Quan, who do you think would dare to marry me? You. The shopkeeper, bring me that neon clothes and feather coat, and I will give it to Yuchen. Mu Quan called out to the Immortal Fate Pavilion behind him. The colorful feather coat was woven from hundreds of kinds of feathers. It was luxurious and natural, and was loved by many female nuns. However, the price was also very expensive. No one has started yet. Yan Yuchen was so angry that she couldn't say anything. When Mu Quan let out such words, what face would she have to stay in Zhongyunchinj after Yan Yuchen? You. Hey, Mu, Yan Yuyan's temper was much more aggressive than Yan Yuchen's. Seeing Mu bullying her good sister so much, she jumped out and pointed at him and shouted, don't look in the mirror to see if you are worthy of Yuchen. Sister, after leaving the Mu family and your eldest brother, what kind of thing are you, Mu Quan? I tell you, Sister Yuchen has a happy person, how far you go to Mu Quan? Mu Quan just smiled smugly. When the news of the eldest brother came back, he wished he would marry Yan Yuchen back immediately and tell her not to take him seriously. Now hearing this, his face turned cold, and he said sullenly, Who dares rob a woman from Mu Quan with me? Who in Zhongyunchinj dares to steal someone from my Mu family? Yan Yuchen's heart jumped when she heard it, and she quickly pulled Yan Yuyan. She guessed who Yuyan wanted to say, but it was wrong to do so. Yuyan, shut up, Mu Quan, give up, I will live in my life. I won't marry you, I tell you, Yan Yuchen won't marry anyone. Yuyan, let's go back. The Yan family wants to go home, and the Mu family is not easy to stop them. Mu Quan waved his hand to let the dog go and let them go. Looking at the backs of the two, his face became more gloomy. Go, check it out for Ben Shao. I think Yan Yuchen likes it. Which dares to steal a woman from young Master Ben? You have to find it for young Master Ben to dig 3 feet in the ground. Yes, sir. It didn't take long for Yan Yuchen's whereabouts to be sent to Muquan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 209. Back home, Yan Yuchen still felt that Yan Yuyan was reckless. You shouldn't have said that. If Muquan finds out something, it will cause them trouble. Yan Yuyan smiled and said, what are you afraid of? It is only after finding out that Muquan can recognize what he is. Fellow Daoist Chang has already established his foundation at such a young age, and he may become a senior Jindan at some point. He is a Muquan. What does Quan compare to others? Even his eldest brother, Muan, is just a good master, and he will come out and show off when he finishes his pills someday. Yan Yuchen still couldn't stretch his brows. That's what a normal person would think, but is Muquan a normal person? I can't understand what people say. Forget it, I'll go and talk to the third elder. Yan Yuyan pouted from the back, disapprovingly. If Muquan really dared to trouble Chang Ye, then he would be able to match Chang Ye and Sister Yuchen. Yan Yuzhan found the third elder, Yan Sun, and told the situation that just happened and the trouble it might bring to Chang Ye. Yan Sun smiled and nodded to her. You girl, if you really like it so much, go for it boldly, otherwise, if you miss it, you will miss it, and when a few of them leave Zhongyunchinj, it will be too late for you to regret it. Third elder, Yan Yuzhan said shyly, I just have a good impression of him. Besides, as I said today, I will not marry. Third elder, do you think that Muquan will really find Chang Dao? Friend. Yan Sun shook his chin and said, I will let people pay attention. This Muquan acts domineering and cannot be reasoned with common sense, but don't worry, I am watching. Friends Chang and the others are guests of our Yan family. We are strict. The family will not sit idly by. That's good, Yuzhan can rest assured. Yan Yuchen breathed a sigh of relief. Mu family. Muquan looked at the information sent impatiently, pushed aside, and said, tell me directly, whoever does not have eyes robs me of a woman, I will kill him. The entourage hurriedly said, according to the information from Xiao Xiao, several foreign monks came back with the Yan family's team that went out to Lilian. One of them revealed that Miss Yuchen had a good impression of one of the monks surnamed Chang, but it may not be true. After those people came back with the Yan family, they did not live in the Yan family's guest house, but separated after entering the city. I haven't seen Miss Yuchen looking for those cultivators in the past few days. Humph, it's just a few miscellaneous hairs from outside. No matter how bold they are, they dare to grab the young master's people? But who made them bump into the hands of this young master? Go and clean up the few miscellaneous hairs for this young master. When I send Xiao Swan to the Yan family's girl, this young master wants to tell the girl that whoever dares to touch her side will have no choice but to die, Muquan said viciously. As for those few, a foreign cultivator was completely ignored. Now that the Mu family has nascent soul in the background, who in this world would dare to point fingers at the Mu family? This. The follower hesitated. What? Don't you dare not listen to what this young master said. No, no, I will find someone to do it when I am young. It will definitely satisfy the young master. The young master will wait for the good news, the entourage replied in a cold sweat. Sun up. Well, just be obedient, let's go. The 4 people who were discussing where to go next in the inn didn't know they were involved in such a turmoil, but Chi Changai's eyebrows were beating, and there was a feeling of being calculated, as if there was a malicious attack on him. Come. What's wrong? Gu Yao looked at Chi Changai and asked. Chi Changai shook his head, nothing, let's go here next, where monsters are entrenched, Let's grab a piece of land, we can use the monsters there to practice hands, and then use the spiritual veins there to retreat. The map in front of them was purchased from the largest shop in the city, and it is said to be the most complete. However, it is the map of the Talaman land, not the map of the entire continent, and this one cost them a lot of spirit stones. Now the place Chi-Chang-Jai is referring to is in a mountain range outside Jianjiun city. According to the news they inquired, there are several monsters with Jindan strength, and the Jindan monsters can just become Chi-Chang-Jai's opponent. The rest will be dealt with by Guyao and the others, and they can grow faster under oppression. Although they knew the danger, the three of Guyao glanced at each other, nodded together and said, "Okay, let's go there, we won't come out if we don't form a pill." Guyaoxin said that he couldn't hold back Big Brother yet, the strength of the foundation would not work at all, and Jindan was only the beginning. To have a say in the matter of Changxianmen, at least Nascent Soul would do. Then let's set off. After confirming the place, Guyao stopped delaying. The overly enjoyable life in Jianjiun city will only make people feel at ease, which is not good. Chi-Chang-Jai nodded, the four of them packed up and left the inn, and walked out of the city together, in the opposite direction from when they first entered the city. The shopkeeper of the inn also has a backstage. After receiving the order from Mu Quan to deal with the Mu family members of these foreign monks, he was a little hesitant to offend the backstage of the inn. Now, Guyao and the four took the initiative to leave the inn. I was instantly happy to leave Zhongyun city. It was better, and it was more convenient to solve it outside the city. It was the best of both worlds. Yan Sun continued with the message, "They are going out of the city? Someone has followed Mu Quan? Mu Quan's kid, he really is defiant. You guys continue to follow, but don't get too close, I'll watch it myself." Yan Sun thought about it for a while, told the owner of the house, and left the Yan family. He hid his figure and set foot on the way out of the city. Taking this opportunity, he could also observe the strength of the people in Changye more clearly. If not, then you can send them a favor if you make another move. Not long after leaving the inn, Guyao frowned, "We were followed. Who could it be? People from the Yan family? Not very similar. The Yan family sent people to pay attention to their movements without a trace." Guyao and Chi-Chang-Jai both found out, but the other party was not malicious, so they just assumed they didn't exist, but now the ones following behind are blatant and not worried at all. They were discovered by them, and their eyes were filled with malicious intent. Chi-Chang-Jai said with an expressionless face, "Whoever dares to follow, tell them to come and go." Guyao's brows moved again, the Yan family also followed, but they were far behind another group of people. Tianfirong and Little Fatty looked at each other, which was interesting. After they came here, apart from dealing with the Yan family, they didn't offend anyone. Could it be that those guys want to rob money? Xiao Lingxi, there is no guarantee that people will not be stared at. Come on, it's not up to them to decide who will be robbed. The little fat man was also eager to try, and wanted to try the difference between the monks on the Qinhao continent and the Tianlin continent. The Yan family who had fought against the sea beasts at sea before were almost exhausted and could not see the real level. Therefore, knowing that there are people with bad intentions behind them, the four of Guyao did not change their direction and still left the city. The head of the Mu family also got the news. Bai Jingqi and Changjai showed the strength of building a foundation, and the people sent out must have at least this level. Therefore, such a personnel transfer cannot be concealed from the head of the Mu family. After being for foreign cultivators, he didn't take it to heart. Quaner is really a nonsense. When can I learn from his elder brother and know how to improve a little bit, so that I can worry less? The housekeeper next to him complimented him, "Young Master An is very talented." With the head of the family there and Master An covering him, young Master Quan will inevitably be more complacent. After some remarks, the smile on Mu family master's face continued to deepen, but it's not that Mu An's son is his pride. Others don't know, but he has received news that Muon has retreated in Tailuiman and is preparing to form pills. When the successful exit of the elixir, it will bring greater glory to the Mu family. If Muon can become a cultivator of the nascent soul in the future, the head of the Mu family is so excited that he even trembles when he thinks of the prospect that it may bring to the Mu family. Stand up. If the Mu family has a powerful cultivator of nascent soul in charge, what is Zhang Yunchange? It is not up to the Mu family to choose the blessed land on the Qinhao continent. Thinking of such a future, the Mu family is full of expectations for this son, Muon. With Ziyu in front, Mu Quan was a little messed up, and he didn't care. Isn't it a girl from the Yan family? When the news of Enerjidan came back, he believed that the Yan family took the initiative to come to the house to ask for marriage. Humph, that girl from the Yan family dared to look down on his Quan'er. After more than 10 kilometers away from the city, the four of Guyao plunged headlong into the boundless mountain range. As soon as their figures disappeared, the people sent by the Yan family appeared behind. The leader was a middle-aged woman-like female cultivator with a very sharp face. She waved her hand and said, "Come on, let's go in." Even a few children dare to offend Quan Quan. Master. Yes, Huagu. Led by Huagu, the dozen or so cultivators also disappeared into the vast mountain range. After a while, a figure appeared in mid-air. It was Yan Sun of the Yan family. After he appeared, the people behind the Yan family also showed up. Body shape, respectfully shouted, "Three elders." Yan Sun frowned. He didn't expect that the people sent by the Mu family were actually headed by Huagu. Huagu's temperament was very vicious, and it would not be good for a monk to fall into her hands. People come out alive. Not only did they not take Chang Ye seriously, but also clearly did not take the Yan family into account. One Muon made the Mu family so arrogant. The figure of the pedestrian also disappeared quickly. Not long after the people headed by Huagu entered the mountain, they lost the trace of the four people in front. They had to stop. Huagu's face was very ugly. What happened? I lost someone? Such a small thing, if it can't be done well, can the old lady do it herself? Huagu. Are you looking for us? Suddenly a cold and stern voice sounded from above. Huagu and the others looked up, and the monk named Chang Ye was standing on top of a tree at the moment, looking down from above. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 210. Good boy, how dare you take the initiative to show up? Huagu stepped on a flower basket-shaped magic weapon and flew up. But who made you not have eyes to offend the Mu family's young master? I'll find the other three little guys and use them as rations for my little baby. Chi Changjai was indifferent. His eyes swept across the shoulders of Ant Hua, where a multicolored flower spider was lying. Young Master Quan of the Mu family. How can I not know when I just came to this Jianjiun city? When did I offend the people of the Mu family? The other monks who came with Huagu thought that Huagu had all the attention of Chi Changjai, so they surrounded Chi Changjai without a trace, thinking that it would be difficult for this kid to fly out with his wings attached. Honestly. Die. Humph, let's just let you die a little more clearly. You even dare to rob the girl that Quan Shao fancy, even a wild boy from outside. If Quan Shao wants you to die, you have to die. Die, haha. Driven by Huagu, the flower spider on her shoulder grew from the size of a ping-pong ball to a grinding disc, and rushed towards Chi Changjai with gusts of stench. At the same time, many petals flew out from the flower basket at Huagu's feet. There were also bursts of fishy sweetness in the wind, and the monks who came with Huagu were already prepared. All of them held their breath, and took the antidote in advance. Before the flower spider could reach Chi Changjai, he saw his figure sway, and the person disappeared, and then there was a meowing and tearing sound, and a black shadow and a glass crystal color turned to the left and right to the flower spider. After swept away, the flower spider stopped in mid-air, spewing out multicolored spider webs and venom. No matter which cultivator below the Jindan stage got on it, it would be bad luck. Swish, the green eyes of the cat flickered with disdain, the cat's claws waved a few times, and the cobweb that was shrouded in the sky suddenly made a sizzling sound. Continuing to attack the flower spider made a shrill scream, and on the other side, Yaoi, who had avoided the venom, drew his tail and flew the flower spider away, accompanied by a crisp cracking sound in the air. We can't let Zizai and Yaoi compete to perform, and it's our turn to play. I didn't expect it to be the trouble caused by Brother Chang. Well, it's not good if I don't say anything, I'll do it directly. Tian Firong. The sound of laughter came out, and then a fire crow flew out in the air. The fire crow flew by, and the strangely colored petals were all burned, and the air became fresh. After burning the petals, the fire crow turned around and rushed towards Huagu. The power of a dozen fire crows was much more amazing than that of the millet-sized flower spider. Huagu didn't expect it, so she responded in a hurry and called for help. Where do you want to go? Your opponent is us. Little Fatty and Guyao suddenly appeared in front of the monks who wanted to rush to Huagu's side for support. These cultivators thought they could easily get rid of the 4 foreign cultivators, but now only one person has taken the shot, and there are 2 not weak spirit beasts. Chi Changjai didn't make a move at all, but flew to a higher position, looking like he had no intention of making a move. The idea is tough, don't be merciless, and fight quickly. Another cultivator who established the foundation looked at Chi Changjai above with fear, and said to others that he did not regard Guyao and Little Fatty as a threat, and he needed to beware. There is only one person above, although I can't guess why he didn't make a move. Humph, the little fat man snorted displeasedly, and then a shield smashed at them, banging all the way, and smashing several people out. After getting inspiration, I incorporated a lot of rare spiritual materials into the shield, and then I used the shield as a hammer, and it was even better than a hammer because of the large impact area. From Guyao's side, 2 magic swords, one red and one green, shot, one left and one right, surrounded the monk who had established the foundation. The monk's eyes flashed with contempt, and he wanted to be trapped by the 2 magic swords. Therefore, he swept straight towards Guyao, and at the same time stabbed a cone-shaped instrument in his hand. It's a pity that Guyao not only was not afraid, but also gave him a smile, and then waved his hand and smashed out several magic talismans, and was heading towards the cultivator's facade. Voice. Taking advantage of your illness, the magic swords from the left and the right converged from behind, piercing the cultivator with a thud. The screams in the air stopped abruptly, and the cultivator stared wide-eyed. The body fell straight down, and was completely dead. A cultivator who established the foundation was not able to hold on to Guyao for long. It can be seen that this person is not showing his cultivation at all, but is hidden. When he saw the cultivator's death, only then did someone realize that not only the problem of hard ideas is that they underestimate the strength of the opponent, so some people want to run away. Guyao and Little Fatty were unable to deal with the man, and the man was overjoyed. Although he would inevitably suffer a lot after returning to Mu's house, it was still better than losing his life. Bringing it back is considered to have made up for the merits, but before he ran far, there was a cold snort in his ear, and a sword energy penetrated him from behind, and he fell down. This is Chi Changjai, who was standing in the air. Since he dares to come, let them all stay. When the Mu family is going to put the 4 of them to death because of an unrelated matter, the hatred with the Mu family has already been made. After the conclusion, there is no time to be merciful to the enemy. The Mu family won't let you go. The eldest young master of the Mu family is a disciple of nascent soul power. You'd better let us go. Huagu, who was added to the flames spewed by the fire crow, struggled to the death, only to get the response was that more than a dozen fire crows surrounded her together, burning her out of breath in a blink of an eye, and Cat Zi and Lu Li, who had finally had enough fun, also solved the flower spider at this moment. Yan Sun stood far away and looked at the battle ahead. Although the distance was a bit far, it was enough for him to see clearly and couldn't hold back his inner shock. The whole battle lasted for only a quarter of an hour, and all the people sent by the Mu family were dealt with. The four of them walked away, and when they left, they cast a glance at where they were standing. That glance made Yan Sun feel a chill in his heart. The four of them completely lost their traces and disappeared in this vast mountain of 100,000. After a while, the other monks who followed Yan Sun came. And then gathered around him, the shock on his face could not be concealed at all. Third elders, they. The voice was also very dry. Yan Sun smiled bitterly, can't you see it yet? They are all hiding their cultivation, so Changya can't see it, but the other three definitely have the strength to build a foundation, and the two spirit beasts are not weak. Every night. Maybe the cultivation base is higher, otherwise, he will not play the role of the raiding formation. He didn't see how he made his move, and an invisible sword chi killed a monk in the middle stage of foundation building. This kind of strength made Yan Sun very suspicious. He is already a Jindan cultivator. Let's go, this is not something our Yan family can interfere with, and I hope they don't hold grudges against the Yan family. If he stood up when the Mu family first shot, maybe they could continue to maintain the relationship. Sometimes the more calculations, the worse it is. Yan Sun returned to the Yan family in Jianjiun city with mixed feelings, and told the owner of the battle scene he had witnessed and his conjectures. The owner of Yan almost tore off his beard. So young, that's likely to have a lot of history. In the end, the Yan family master could only retaliate with a wry smile. It is indeed difficult for our Yan family to do unnecessary things, so let's just watch. The Mu family will not stop here, the hatred between the two parties has already been forged. Muan worshipped a Yuanying master, and the Yan family was still a little bit afraid, so the Yan family could not come forward in this matter. The lives of those monks in Huago are actually not considered by the Mu family. For the Mu family, what is more serious is that the Mu family was beaten in the face, especially the one who worshipped a Yuanying master in the Mu family. At this juncture, the Mu family will definitely not bear this tone. During this time, the clan must be restrained and not involved in this matter, Yan Sun reminded, and the Yan family nodded. Mu Patriarch and Mu Quan both thought that Huagu was going to capture them. They just had to wait for the result. Unexpectedly, it didn't take long before the monks guarding the soul cards stumbled over to work, and Huagu's soul cards were all shattered. Patriarch Mu was shocked and immediately called people out of the city to check the scene. There was only one conclusion from the scene, that is, the entire army was annihilated, and the opponent had no casualties, and the battle lasted for a short time, which showed that the opponent was hiding his strength. As Yan Sun and the others deduced, the Mu family really couldn't hold their breath. While ordering people to continue to track down the whereabouts of the four people, they put pressure on the Yan family. These four people were brought into the city by the Yan family, and they died so much. Man, won't the Yan family give the Mu family an explanation? There was a lot of movement in the Mu family. Gradually, there were some rumors in the city. Huagu's name was still quite big. This time she was killed at random. Isn't it big news? It is said that the one who killed people was with Mu Quan competes for a foreign monk who is one of the sisters of the Yan family. So this matter changed in the end, and it became a jealous affair. If Chi Changjai and Guyao, who were in the 100,000 strong mountain, heard it, they would be so angry that they would vomit blood. With what? Yan Yuchen was pushed to the top of the limelight in this incident. Some people were envious and others were jealous, but Yan Yuchen herself was tossing and turning. She did not expect the Mu family to be so domineering, and she felt unhappy with Yan Yuyan, a good sister. She speaks fast, how could her savior be hunted and killed like this? Yan Yuyan didn't think she was wrong. In her opinion, in the future, Yan Yuchen and Chang Ye will form a Taoist couple, which will definitely become a good talk for Zhang Yunchenj.